It is a beautiful Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, and you know what it means. If it's a day that ends in Y, we are hopping in a 2023 fantasy football draft. We are going to be going through and hopping in the puppy here in just 1 second. Let me pull this up. As I do, if you have not done so already, please make sure you drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to be able to come out to the beginning of these live streams to get in this draft with us. And yeah, we are going to hop in. Looks like it's filling right away, so we're not going to have to wait around too long. And hopefully we do not have too many of you sickos in this draft with us. Would prefer maybe to be in here by myself, but we'll see. We're at 11. I feel like we've drafted here a decent amount. I mean, 11 is just such a tough spot. I actually want to show y'all something real quick. I was in a draft at 11 earlier this morning. Was I at 11 or 9? I was in the back half of a draft earlier this morning, and I loved the way that it turned out. I mean, let me go ahead and let me pull this up real quick. It's one of my favorite puppy drafts that I've gone with. So this was the draft. I'm sorry, it wasn't at 11. I was actually at 10, but nonetheless, I mean, I felt like it was a very strong draft, and if I can repeat what we did in this one, I'd be very happy. Like, if you're going to look at what we did, we went Adams, Barkley, Etienne, Debo, and then we had Kittle falling to us in the 5th. Then we get Lawrence in the 6th to pair up with Travis Etienne, Treylon Burks in the 7th, David Montgomery in the 8th, Michael Thomas at pick 106, Daniel Jones 111 to pair up with Saquon Barkley, Dalton Kincaid 130 as our second tight end, Kondre Miller, Chark, Gallup, and then we get Lance 178. I wasn't planning on taking a third quarterback, but when Lance fell to the end of the 15th round and we had both George Kittle and Debo Samuel, felt like it made a lot of sense. Tank Bigsby monopolized the Jacksonville Jaguars backfield. Paris Campbell at the very end to get our third New York Giant. Loved what we had with that draft, and hopefully we are able to repeat it. Let me go ahead and let me get back in this one, and we'll see. It's actually going right now. You have, I mean, pretty standard start. You have CMC going off the board at 4 rather than 3, but thank you so much for everybody coming out and hanging out with us immediately. Really, really appreciate y'all. Ethan says he's watched YouTube videos but never watched the live stream. My man, thank you for coming out to a live stream with us. Really do appreciate you. Jacob says he's 1 pick ahead of us, so damn, we're gonna have to deal with Jacob at pick 10. It is what it is. Jay's asking how we're doing. Doing great, my man. Doing great. But Bijan Robinson goes off the board at 7. It's difficult to navigate the 1-2 turn, right? Because the biggest issue is if you were to go through and take 2 running backs here at pick 11 and pick 14, in my mind, the running backs will be the best values on the board, more likely than not. Like, say Diggs, Brown, Adams all go off with the next 3 picks. Okay, Taylor goes. Never mind. I was going to say, if we were to go Taylor and Eckler, I would assume that, I mean, they would be by far and away the best values on the board. But then it puts you in such a difficult position later on in the draft where we're not able to take advantage of the running back value. And instead, we have to go through and instead we have to grab some wide receivers there. Rowan says, saw you immediately in the puppy as soon as it came out. Was actually insightful drafting next to you. Oh, so you were in the draft with us earlier this morning then, my man? That is awesome. That is awesome. Now, Stephon Diggs goes, we're going to continue to build, I guess, the same team that we did this morning. Maybe we just have almost a copycat team because we will take Devontae Adams here. And then this is how I'm going to queue up our next pick. It's going to be Eckler, Lamb, Saquon Barkley. Yes, I'm going to take Saquon Barkley over Garrett Wilson. I know a lot of people have been saying that they would rather have. Oh, okay, never mind. Jalen Hurts goes. So we're going to get to take CeeDee Lamb here. Okay, this is a very exciting start. This is a very, very exciting start. I wanted to have taken Garrett Wilson. I can't take Garrett Wilson over Saquon Barkley. I can convince myself to go CeeDee Lamb here, though. Really exciting. Big Disco Energy says, how do I join the flock? My man, flockfantasy.com. Go, link in the description. Sign up with promo code FLOCK. You're going to get 30% off any subscription. And if you sign up to flockfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK and you have an Underdog account, you may or may not be getting exclusive merch going your way next week. No charge. All you have to do is give me your address and then also additional extra credit in your Underdog account, which is very exciting. And also, side note, we're drafting on Underdog Fantasy. For the one person watching this live stream that doesn't know, these are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the season. I drafted over 700 of these teams last year. I mean, this is the puppy, so it's a $5 buy-in. $500,000 prize pool. We had a member of the flock win the puppy last year, and they won $75,000. I won a couple high stakes tournaments on Underdog last year. I ended up winning $150,000, but nonetheless, sign up with promo code FLOCK, get a 100% deposit match. And if you are a member of the flock on flockfantasy.com and Underdog, you have a ton of really cool stuff coming your way. And it's available in over 45 states. Now, Kyle coming out says, what was your total at UT? At UT, what does that mean? And how are you spacing out your Best Ball Mania entries? Okay, first off, thank you, my man, for being a member of the flock and supporting the channel. Second off, what are we asking about my total at UT? Please clarify that in the live chat. And how I'm spacing out my Best Ball Mania entries. So if y'all don't know, that's the $25 tournament on Underdog. I thought about this literally earlier today, but I think I'm just going to be getting into Best Ball Mania drafts whenever there are no puppy drafts. Because the thing is, if we are going to be looking at Best Ball Mania, it's going to be longer to fill those draft rooms whenever there's a puppy draft out. And it will always be open essentially until the start of the season. There won't always be a puppy, but there will always be a Best Ball Mania draft. And I'm going to draft every single day until the season starts. So I feel like it's natural for me to just fire up the Best Ball Mania drafts when there's not another tournament that we're excited. Mike says poundage on powerlifting. Okay, so if y'all don't know, I was on the UT powerlifting team. So my most impressive lifts, I'd say, keep in mind, I weighed like 159 pounds, okay? So hit 225 for 12 on bench. I have a video of that on YouTube. Hit 335 for 13 with deadlift. Squatted. I hit a 225 for 12 on front squat once. But I think total poundage, let me add this up. 470 deadlift. Sadly, I did not get to 1250, my friend. I barely closed. I didn't even get to 1200. Barely closing in on it. But I weighed like 159 pounds. ER7 says Underdog has a LeBron James half a point over under. Oh yeah. So if y'all don't know, anybody that's on Underdog right now, they have a free bet out there. I mean, this is going to be available until Monday at 10. Make sure you're going and taking advantage of it. I mean, usually they don't do this many, right? It does seem a little crazy that they have this many going. It's like the third one in the past 2 weeks. I'm not complaining. So yeah, I mean, go ahead and take advantage of that whenever you can. Okay. Now, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson all off the board here in the beginning of the middle of the third round. We will have options at the 3-4 turn that I like at running back regardless. So we're going to be just fine here. I'm not worried at all. Calvin Ridley goes off the board 32. Let me know what y'all are thinking. Calvin Ridley is the wide receiver that you're generally seeing go off at the end of the third round. Do you like or hate, or just say yes or no? Are you drafting Calvin Ridley at the end of the third round in Underdog drafts right now? Yes or no? Please let me know. I don't want to say what I've been doing. I need to even pull up my exposures. I want to be able to tell you what I'm doing off the top of my head. Okay, so Deebo Samuel goes. There are 3 players I'm fine with. We're going to take Mark Andrews because I think we will be pretty much locked in to getting either ETN or Najee Harris on the way back around. But if we were to take one of the running backs here, then I don't think we would get Andrews on the way back around. Yes, no, yes, yes. No, 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 no. No, no, no. No, I don't know, no. Yes, I honestly don't know if I'm drafting. Okay, we're going to get ETN here in round 4. This is a phenomenal start. In my mind, it's hard to have a better start than what we've done through the first 4 rounds. I'm really excited about this. Adams, Lamb, wide receiver. Andrews at tight end. Travis Etienne at running back in the 4th. Love it, love it, love it. Planet says, if Calvin Ridley is my wide receiver 3, yes. So, like, the instance is, if you go A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle in the first 2 rounds, then are you taking Calvin Ridley over Jahmyr Gibbs, Mark Andrews, Travis Etienne, Najee Harris? It's just in my mind, I think Calvin Ridley is kind of similar to the wide receivers that you have in round 5. I really think once you see Devonta Smith go off the board, DK Metcalf's kind of in his own tier there. But just past the DK Metcalf tier, starting at about Calvin Ridley And you see this in the wide receiver rankings video that we put up with how we broke down the tiers to essentially like Michael Pittman, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I feel like all those guys are about the same. That's why, in general, I want to be grabbing the wide receivers in round 1 and 2 because I would much just prefer grabbing like a running back and a tight end here like we do in round 3 and 4. Carson says, you aren't nervous about Isaiah Likely taking snaps and targets from Mark Andrews. No, Isaiah Likely is not good, my friend. Ted says, love Etienne in the 4th. Yeah, Etienne and Najee will be some of my most drafted players, just for the reasons that we are already saying. And then I think it's such a flat tier of wide receiver once you get past like Devonta Smith that, I mean, I'd rather take those wide receivers round 1 and 2 and then just hammer in Etienne, Najee Harris, where they're going. And probably some of my most drafted players so far, but honestly, it feels like I'm drafting at pick like 9, 10, 11, 12 in every single one of these. So once we get like a couple hundred of these drafts under our belt and we have a lot more drafts that are in the front part of the range, like at 1, 2, 3, 4, then maybe it's a little bit different. Mr. Padilla says, you can't say Isaiah Likely is not good because he stepped up with Mark Andrews was out. Okay, let me go ahead and let me pull this up because keep in mind the context, what you had in Baltimore last year. In Baltimore last year, let's just pull this up. Ravens stats. I want to get you a list of their top pass catchers. Okay, I can actually do this on Safari over here. Okay, Ravens stats 2022. Okay, here were the top pass catchers for the Baltimore Ravens this past season. This is the limited competition that Isaiah Likely would have in any instance that he stepped up. Andrews at 1. This is laughably bad. Andrews, Demarcus Robinson, Devin Duvernay were the top 3 guys. So yes, Isaiah Likely was able to have 23 receiving yards per game as a rookie. In my mind, I'm not worried about Isaiah Likely taking anything from Mark Andrews, to be honest. Mr. Padilla says, granted, you know I'm the biggest voice when it comes to Young T. JSC says, do we think Hopkins will stay in Arizona? That's what it's looking like. That's why if you looked at my most recent wide receiver rankings video we put up, or you look at the updated rankings we have on flockfantasy.com, I mean, we have Hopkins falling down our rankings just because staying in Arizona will be a bad situation with Kyler Murray being injured. I mean, it's just a tough spot overall. Okay, so what are we looking to do here? We have Justin Herbert falling. We have Aaron Jones, Michael Pittman, Miles Sanders. So I think we can assume that if we wanted Justin Herbert, we would have to go ahead and we would have to probably take him at pick 59. This team, David Berg, pick 60 and 61. They decided to take Jalen Hurts earlier on. But they also have Austin Eckler. So the thing is, when we have ETN, if we wanted to get some correlation with a quarterback here, maybe Lawrence would be the pick over Justin Herbert, even if we like Herbert a little more in a vacuum. So what we maybe do here is we maybe take Miles Sanders and then grab whatever quarterback makes it back around to us at pick 62. Don't exactly know who it's going to be. I mean, it could either be Herbert or Lawrence. So the interesting thing is, right, we don't have any correlating players with Justin Herbert. We don't have Mike Williams. We don't have Keenan Allen. We don't have Austin Eckler. And we do correlate in a way with Trevor Lawrence, with Travis Etienne. So it's interesting in that, should we get the player that's quote unquote a massive value on the board and can make our team a little more unique overall? Or should we instead go with the player that maybe fits our build a little bit more? In this tournament setting, I would say smart people would probably take Trevor Lawrence here. However, given the fact that 1, I am not smart. 2, whenever I see a player that falls this far past their ADP and I'm drafting over 700 teams this offseason, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Justin Herbert. We're getting him in the 6th round. We're getting him at pick 62. He has an ADP of 49. So it is very strong ADP value. And if you're looking at building a unique team in this massive large field tournament, I think Justin Herbert does allow us to build a unique team here. I don't necessarily know how many teams at all are going to have this combo of guys out the gate, where Lawrence maybe makes a little more sense and that we can get some more correlation. But like we were discussing previous, I just think very few teams are going to have the ability to take Herbert here at 62, and a lot of teams will be able to take Lawrence at 63. Foxtrot says he loves Herbert. Yeah, that's another thing as well. I mean, if I had to just go through and rank these quarterbacks in a vacuum, regardless of ADP, regardless of our overall team composition, and of course, ADP and team composition matters a ton for me when I'm making these selections. But if at the end of the day, I just had to sit here and go, who scores more points this next season? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say Justin Herbert scores more points, and I'm not really going to think of too long and hard about that. Okay. And real quick, I know we already mentioned this, but it looks like we have a couple hundred more people here in the live chat real quick. So one, if you are just trickling in, make sure you're dropping a like on this. Two, I know y'all are all already drafting on Underdog Fantasy with us. It doesn't matter if you signed up with promo code FLOCK today, a year ago, 2 years ago, signed up with promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. You have a special LeBron James bet for tomorrow night at 10 p.m. So make sure you go take that now before you forget, because, I mean, there have been a couple times Underdogs had those free bets. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to make sure we're taking advantage of that. It's free money. And then we look to go do it 2 or 3 days later, and the game's already happened. So kind of does suck there. Now, Duke says, you definitely need to run 3 quarterbacks to get maximum value with Herbert with all his bad weeks. I don't necessarily agree with that, my friend. I think if we take Justin Herbert here at pick 62, if we find another quarterback that we like, say if we get Daniel Jones, round 9, round 10, I'm going to go ahead, probably only grab 2 unless we get an insane value on the third guy. Bean Salad says, but how does picking Justin Herbert here at 62 affect LeBron's legacy? That is a good question, my friend. I'll say, if LeBron does not score at least 1 point on Monday night, that is not going to be good for LeBron's legacy. I'll tell you that much. Now, Jordan Addison, 71. Treylon Burks, 72. Carson says, why is Dalvin Cook falling so far in ADP? I think naturally there's just some uncertainty there with the Dalvin Cook selection. I mean, if you're looking at Dalvin Cook, a couple different things, very similar to Joe Mixon. These are running backs that were drafted in 2017. Naturally, you are just getting a little bit more of an injury concern with those guys. Also, you're probably expecting a drop in efficiency at some point. Also, with those players, you just have uncertainty at this point in the offseason that we don't exactly know what their situations will be this next year. It's not like Dalvin Cook's guaranteed to be a Minnesota Viking. So, I mean, you have seen Dalvin Cook falling more and more. I'm completely fine taking Dalvin Cook round 6. A big reason why we go Miles Sanders at pick 59 is whenever in a large chunk of these contests, he's gone at the beginning of the 5th round, and so has Justin Herbert. It's going to lead to us having a unique team compared to the rest of the field, where there are a lot of other people being able to get Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon here at the 5-6 turn. Okay. Now, Gabe Davis goes off the board, 78. So you're seeing a massive run on wide receivers. Okay, let's go ahead and let's think through this, because it's going to be a little bit of a difficult selection. I don't know if y'all had the chance to see, but we put out an article on flockfantasy.com as well as a video on the Dynasty channel diving into DeAndre Swift in a little more depth. Okay, so yeah, we essentially were saying avoid DeAndre Swift. Do not draft DeAndre Swift. Do not trade for DeAndre Swift. But he goes off the board here, so we don't really have to think about that too much. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to grab the last wide receiver in this tier. I understand that we're reaching for him, but I like the player 1. And also, if you look at the team at pick 1 overall, they decided to grab 7 wide receivers off the board. So it looks like maybe they're just straight up trolling at this point. I have no idea what the hell they're doing, but that may skew up the rest of the draft board later on. So just going ahead and grabbing Jahan Dotson here while we still can get a wide receiver that we feel comfortable with. I'm completely fine with it. Let's see what David does. 1 running back. Let's see if this size goes Rachaad White. Yeah, it goes Rachaad White here. Interesting. Wonder if he also goes to Deshaun Watson. Watson's fallen about 9 picks past his ADP at this point. He does have Amari Cooper as well. Yeah, he does go to Deshaun Watson. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Darren Waller. I understand that we took Mark Andrews. I think this is going to lead to us having an extremely unique roster. Not only a very unique roster, but at the same time, now we can lock ourselves into only having to draft 2 tight ends. We can set ourselves up with a potential Daniel Jones stack at the 9-10 turn. I mean, it's clearly massive value with Darren Waller if you're going to be comparing this to his ADP. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Darren Waller here, and I'm going to be excited about it. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Dear God. Nobody was going to let me know that I was too dumb to spell football in the title. Let's go ahead and let's fix that. Bam. There we go. That is fixed. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you. Okay, James Conner goes 90, James Cook 91. So we have a little run on quarterback. What's very interesting to see Rodgers at 89. Seems like the majority of drafts I am in, Aaron Rodgers isn't going this high. But, oh, sorry about that scroll. Let me show off the entire board just in case anybody's just now coming in here. To be honest with you, I love our team. I mean, right now, sitting at quarterback with Herbert, wide receiver, Adams, Lamb, Dotson, running back, Travis Etienne, Miles Sanders. I think that this is a roster that very few people are going to be able to try to replicate. I don't know if anybody can replicate this, even if they tried. And at the same time, I don't think we had to get too weird with it, right? Because how I try to approach the majority of these tournament drafts is I try to get unique without being too weird. Unique without being too weird. In my mind, that's kind of the secret to these tournament drafts. And that we don't want to have a team that the rest of the field does, but at the same time, we don't want to just have a garbage team. Planet says, it's not even 10 a.m., Mason. You're good, my friend. Can everybody spam the chat real quick? This is one thing that I've been wanting to know. Can everybody let me know where they are watching from? Because here, it's almost noon for me, my friend. It's almost noon for me here. Let me know what state you are watching from. Let me know what country you're watching from if you're not in the U.S. I would love to see that in the chat. We have almost 400 people out here. If we get like 300 messages in the chat, that'd be awesome. Cali, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, which is Florida, I believe. Florida, Colorado, Chicago, Nebraska, Maryland, Kentucky, UK. What time is it in the UK, my man? New Mexico, Kansas, Texas. Texas represent. I'm surprised we don't see more Texas in here. We got a lot of California for it to be pretty damn early for the California peeps. I'm surprised we don't have more Texas people. Come on. What is going on here? But thank you so much, everybody, coming out and hanging out with us. It's just awesome to see everybody from literally everywhere. Okay, so Jameson Williams off the board here, pick 101. Fletch says it's 17:52, which I'm going to assume is 5:52 p.m. Is that correct? 5:52 p.m.? Greece. Love it, my man. Love it. South Africa. Okay. That is super cool. Well, thank you for coming in, hanging out with us in the live stream. I apologize that Underdog is not in South Africa, not in Greece. We'll try to get some drafts you can hop in soon, my friends. We'll definitely try to get y'all involved soon. Okay, we have Devon A-Chain off the board, 105. I mean, it's someone that I'm not really drafting at all, if I'm going to be honest with you, so I'm completely fine seeing him go. So this team has Anthony Richardson and Lawrence. So, yeah, they weren't taking Dak. They have Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson. They can't take Dak either. What do we do here? Do we take our favorite running back on the board and then assume Dak Prescott makes it to us in the next round? We don't have anybody. We're not going to get cute with it. We have CeeDee Lamb. We're going to get the Dak Prescott stack. We're getting Dak Prescott over 20 picks behind his ADP. Let me flex on y'all here. This is an obnoxiously good team. Nathan says A.J. Dillon, then Dak. That's my initial thought process here. But sometimes you will see people, if a player falls 20 picks past their ADP, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense for their team to go ahead and take him, like even if I wouldn't have taken Dak Prescott if I were them, it doesn't mean they want it. And we've already gotten so lucky to have Dak Prescott fall 20 picks past his ADP. And hell, we're still going to get A.J. Dillon here as well. Oh my gosh, this is a beautiful draft, ladies and gentlemen. This is a beautiful draft. Let me go ahead and show this draft board off. I mean, we were bragging about the draft that we had before this live stream. I mean, we got in that draft early this morning, and I was really excited about how it turned out, but I feel like this team's even better. So wide receiver, we're sitting with Adams, Lamb, Jahan Dotson. We're definitely going to have to add in way more wide receivers to this build. Tight end, we have Andrews, Darren Waller. So arguably, maybe outside of the Kelsey team, we have the best tight end group in this league. Quarterback, we have Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott. And if you're looking at the value that we get these guys, Justin Herbert, 12 picks behind ADP. Or, yeah, about 13 picks behind ADP. Dak Prescott, 20 picks behind ADP. ETN, 4 picks behind ADP. Sanders, 4 picks behind ADP. AJ Dillon, 4 picks behind ADP. We reach a little bit on Dotson. We get Waller, 11 picks behind ADP. Nobody's going to be able to replicate this team. It makes so much sense. We get the correlation in there with Dak and Lamb. I love this roster. Love it. Chris says, used to live in the same complex as you in Tampa. Are you better be joking me, my man. If you would see me regularly and not say hi, what the hell? Are you kidding me? Luke says, Mason, are you going to be targeting a late round Joshua Palmer with Quentin Johnson coming over? I'm not going to lie to you. I've drafted a crap ton of Joshua Palmer in round like 17, 18. Like, I've been going through and slamming Joshua Palmer in these drafts just with the uncertainty that, hell, what happens if Keenan Allen, Mike Williams are on the move? Obviously, it's a low probability chance, but that is a possibility. What happens if Joshua Palmer plays over Quentin Johnston at the beginning of the season? What happens if the most injury-riddled team in most recent history in the Los Angeles Chargers sees an injury to one of those guys who are, older at this point? I think like round 17, Joshua Palmer. I like it. Okay. Boss Matus says, hey, Mason, any chance for a second draft today? So initially I was thinking no, to be honest with you, because we do have a live stream scheduled on the Dynasty channel for exactly when this one ends. We have a live stream scheduled on the Dynasty channel for 12:30. So in about 30 minutes. However, we have over 400 people out here watching this. It's May. How about this? We have over 400 people watching this. If this hits 300 likes in the live stream, so that's 75% of y'all hitting that like button. The live stream has over 1,000 views already. If this has 300 likes on the stream, then we'll go ahead. We'll fire up another draft after this one, and I'll push back the other live stream that we have. Okay. Antonio Gibson goes 129. Okay, so we cannot take quarterbacks at this point. It doesn't really matter. Maybe in a couple rounds, if we really want to, we can. But we're exclusively pretty much just slamming in some wide receivers. Let's go ahead and let's take Sky Moore. We don't have any Dallas Cowboys. We don't have any Los Angeles Chargers wide receivers we can take anytime soon. So we'll grab Sky Moore, pick 131. Just a player that usually doesn't fall this far. A guy going into year 2 attached to Patrick Mahomes. So, it kind of is what it is. Okay. Jay says, next draft going to be Puppy or Best Ball Mania. If we hit 300 likes in the live stream to do another draft, I will let y'all pick. Y'all pick what we want between Best Ball Mania and Puppy. Okay. So Jalen Hyatt off the board, 133. Do we just continue to grab wide receivers? Yeah, let's go ahead and let's take Adam Thielen. Robert out here says, team, we stay bulling in your draft. I want the shout out. Okay, my man. First off, thank you for coming out to the live stream and hanging out with us. Interesting draft. They're going Kelsey, Allen, Ramadre out the gate. I probably didn't love the fact that team 1 decided to go 7 wide receivers in a row, but let's see what wide receiver values you can get later on. Derek says, Jonathan Mingo, bro. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be taking Jonathan Mingo at all this year. Like, I am sorry to say it, but with Jonathan Mingo, this is a wide receiver that I did not like as a prospect at all. Checks no boxes for us. I really just have no interest. Chris says he saw us walking the dog all the time. Well, my man, that is awesome. I'm disappointed you didn't stop and tell us hi, my man. Sad to hear it. And yes, if I probably look like a freak walking the dog. If y'all don't know, I have like a 100-pound dog and I walk around with a weight vest on because I walk like a mile a day. So probably it look like a weirdo if I was going around walking the dog, but it is what it is. Agent says 100 more likes. DJ Chark, Alec Pierce off the board. So at this point, what we're wanting to see in this draft selfishly is we're wanting to see teams take quarterbacks and tight ends, right? Like, that's what would help us the most whenever we've already locked in our guys in Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott, Mark Andrews, and Darren Waller. So let's just see if we can get some QBs, tight ends off the board, pushing down running back and wide receiver value. Lance goes 141. Usually whenever Trey Lance goes in a draft, I mean, I shed a tear knowing that we're not going to be able to get him. But to be honest with you, I mean, in this draft, I really can't get Trey Lance. Looks like we're going to be in a good spot. Because if we project this out, right, you're most likely going to have Komet, Greg Dulcich off the board by the time that we're back up. Outside of that, I mean, we'll have a lot that we can be looking at with wide receiver and running back. Really, the only quarterback that's left in this range is Bryce Young. Hard to know if he's going to go or not. There are a couple teams that are drafting before us here that only have one quarterback. So if Bryce Young was going to go, maybe it would be to this team here. They go Jarrett McKinnon, 144. Can y'all let me know what you think of Jarrett McKinnon? Because McKinnon has been a player that's been really moving up draft boards as of late. And I mean, people have been really excited about him in general. Now, with Jarrett McKinnon, I understand the thought process. I just, for whatever reason, am convinced that he's not a good pick. I mean, the man was drafted back in 2014. If you're looking at the oldest running backs in the NFL, like, let's go through. Derrick Henry's about to turn 30. Derrick Henry was drafted in, I believe, 2016. Let me just confirm that Jarrett McKinnon was drafted in 2014. Yeah, Jarrett McKinnon was drafted in 2014. He's already 31. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Mike says he loves him in the 12th. Jay says, I like McKinnon in the 150 range. Salim, 440 people watching. We only need 75 more likes. Yeah, so if y'all want to get in our next draft, make sure you go down to the link in the live chat, link in the description. Sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK. Available in like 45, 46 states. Available everywhere in Canada outside of Ontario. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match. If you are a member of the Flock and on Underdog as well, you are going to get exclusive merch going your way next week. And if you're a member of flockfantasy.com, like we were saying, you are. I'm going to go ahead and maybe we take Tyler Algier here. Just get a handcuff running back. I think that's what we're going to do. Like, I think a lot of the running backs in this range are just primary handcuff backs. I think Tyler Algier is a talented guy. I think that this offense is going to try to run the ball a ton. I'm going to be completely fine taking him at the 13-14 turn. But yeah, go sign up for Underdog, promo code FLOCK for all that stuff. Link in the live chat. And also, I know everybody here is pretty much already on Underdog, so just make sure you're taking advantage of this LeBron special. It doesn't matter if you signed up for Underdog 2 years ago, a year ago with promo code FLOCK, or you do it today. You have this free bet that's available for you. Make sure you're taking advantage of that before tomorrow night. Okay. So Luke says, I took McKinnon in the last round of every single draft before he got signed. We have him in about 44% of drafts. That is awesome, my man. Yeah, I mean, if you were getting McKinnon last round, now you should obviously be very excited about it. Deontay Foreman off the board. I'm not taking Mostert. We can't take quarterbacks or tight ends. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jalen Warren here. I mean, another running back that is pretty much just a handcuff type option, right? Like, we're not sitting here thinking that Jalen Warren is ever going to win the job over Najee Harris. But what I do like is we have some clarity in this backfield. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers don't invest anything else into the running back position in the draft or in free agency. So you really just have Najee Harris and Jalen Warren there. So I'm going to be completely fine taking him. I think that maybe you'll get a couple of receptions out of the backfield. Maybe get some usable weeks. And then obviously, if Najee Harris were to go down, then at that point, hopefully he could turn into a league winner. Okay. Luke says, Mason, what do you think about the rookie running back for the Bengals? I don't think he's any good, but I think the Bengals offense is phenomenal and the situation there is uncertain. Now we have a couple of rookie tight ends going off the board here in the 14th. To be honest with you, while these options may be decent from a dynasty perspective, I think in redraft leagues, and we've talked about this before, but I think a lot of these rookies will be sliding down these drafts as we get closer to the start of the season. I think a big reason why they are going this high as of now is just the fact that we are so close to the NFL draft. And obviously, they're the exciting guys to talk about. They're the guys that everybody wants to look at. I mean, considering the fact that, hell, we haven't seen them before, right? There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of hidden upside there. Where naturally, once you get closer to the season and people start running projections and they're like, oh, crap, a rookie tight end's probably not getting get involved too much, then you'll see like Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta falling behind Tyler Higbee. Like in my mind, there's no reason they should be going ahead of Higbee in best ball. Okay, Stroud goes 165, and this is the perfect thing for us, right? We take 2 running backs here at the turn, which indicates we're probably wanting to go ahead and grab wide receivers at least over the next 3 to, maybe even 4 rounds. Maybe we only stop at 5 running backs. We'll see. So we want to be slamming in wide receivers. We still want tight ends and quarterbacks to be going off the board, considering the fact that, hell, we already have our guys. We have Andrews, Waller. We have Herbert, Dak. So, this has been a perfect round 14 for us. This is perfect. Okay. Planet says, between Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, and Kadarius Toney, which Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver will be the guy to break out? Right now, it's priced that Toney's the most expensive player. Then you have Sky Moore and Rice kind of right next to each other, with Sky Moore being a little more expensive. I have no idea, my man. I think it's anybody's best guess. If you're looking at these players as prospects, I think Sky Moore is the best prospect. But at the same time, Sky Moore did nothing his rookie season. Like, it's hard to be too excited about Sky Moore after what he did year one. Keep in mind, I did grab Sky Moore here, pick 131. So I don't want to sit here and talk down on him too much when we just drafted the man. Okay. Shaheed going off the board 170. So like I said, we are exclusively running back and wide receiver. It's going to be a draft where we grab 2 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. Most likely. I don't want to lock ourselves into that 100%. Like, if we have a quarterback or a tight end value falling to us, I honestly maybe not even tight end, unless like Dawson Knox falls, to pick like round 16, then maybe we take Dawson Knox. Or if Gerald Everett were to fall like round 17, maybe we take Gerald Everett. More likely than not, we're just going to grab 1 more running back and 3 more wide receivers. Michael says, thumbs up to your draft. It's unique, yet still good. Yeah, thank you, my man. That's what we're going for in every single one of these drafts. Jeffrey says, is this best ball? Yes, every underdog draft is best ball. Okay, Marvin Mims off the board. What point are we forced to take Jeff Wilson? I don't know if we drafted him in a single draft. I don't know if we've taken a single Miami Dolphins running back at all. I think we've primarily been assuming that you're going to get Zeke, Fournette, or Kareem Hunt going over to Miami. Maybe they trade for someone like Dalvin. I just think that the probability the Miami Dolphins go into the season with that backfield, slim to none. They're going to have to make a play somewhere. Curtis Samuel off the board, 175. Jeffrey says, as a fellow Jeff, don't take him. Okay. Mike says, take him. Oh, dear God. Rondell Moore off the board, 177. Is this our first time we have to? I'm going to take Jeff Wilson. It will be our first time we've drafted Jeff Wilson, and that will be our last running back pick of this entire draft. Okay. Tank says, might want to go read here. Mike says, go read as well. Okay, so I will listen to y'all. We will go ahead and we'll queue up Jaden Reed if this is who y'all want. But yeah, this team that was picking between us, they only had 4 running backs. Their 4 RBs being Eckler, Rashad White, Samaje Perine, and Deontay Foreman. So, okay, never mind. They go Reed, so we're not going to get the ability to. So instead, I'm probably going to pivot. I'm probably going to take Tyquan Thornton. It's been a wide receiver that I've actually been drafting a decent amount, if I'm going to be honest. I just like the fact that, hell, he's probably going to get on the field immediately. Like, they bring in Juju Smith-Schuster, but Juju's a completely different player with Juju operating the slot. Tyquan Thornton being that more so prototypical field stretching option. So he's going to be on the field. They need pass catchers. He's going into year 2. He flashed some ability year 1, even if it wasn't great. So I'll be fine with it. Okay, so Kenneth Gainwell goes 185. People asking about Michael Wilson. I don't know if Michael Wilson's going to be a single. I mean, I don't know if I draft Michael Wilson in a single draft this year, if I'll be honest with you. What I want to point out is Dawson Knox made it to 178. Dawson Knox 178. I would rather have Dawson Knox straight up over Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta, maybe even Taysom. I don't know. Sam says Tyson in the Will Fuller role. Perhaps I'm assuming you mean Tyquan in the Will Fuller role. I mean, hell, I'd like it. I'd like it. Tank says could have paired Palmer with Herbert. My friend. That Palmer value is round 17, 18. I still think we have a very, very real shot to get Joshua Palmer on the way back around. Okay, so let's move this down. Brock Purdy goes. Chuba Hubbard goes. Yeah, Kenny Pickett available. Kenny Pickett's fallen about 20 picks past ADP. I'd imagine that we see this team here, Nick, decide to take 1 to 2 quarterbacks. To be honest with you, I mean, I wouldn't have hated their 7 wide receivers start if they didn't take Wan'Dale Robinson. If you grab like 6 wide receivers out the gate, you literally just have to stop. You have to put the brakes on at some point, and you have to pivot over and try to come up with enough firepower somewhere else. But, I mean, they're going to go into the season with the second-year tight end in Tennessee and then one more tight end like Isaiah Likely as their options. So, if like instead of taking Wan'Dale Robinson there, they would go through and take another tight end. Like, yeah, the team's just dead, but I feel like it had some potential. Like, it didn't have to be horrible. Mason says, how many likes are we at? Okay, we are at 250. 250. Okay, Gesicki goes off the board 197. Luke says, what do we think about Gallup? I've honestly been taking a lot of Michael Gallup. I mean, I understand, yes, they bring in Brandon Cooks. Yes, Brandon Cooks is going to be the guy there over Gallup, but that's priced in. I mean, Brandon Cooks is going to be going like 70 picks ahead of Michael Gallup in the majority of these drafts. If I'm going to be looking at Gallup, I think maybe there's an off chance that we're drafting him last year coming off the ACL a year too early, and this is someone that we just needed to give a little more time to. I don't want to act like that's a guaranteed to be what happened, but I mean, I don't think it would be the most surprising thing in the world if Michael Gallup got back to what he was a few years ago this next season. Slayton goes 201. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take the wide receiver that's getting paid the most money from the New York Giants in Paris Campbell. Tim Patrick would have been a guy I would have been very excited taking here round 17, 18 if they did not grab Marvin Mims in the second round. Like before the NFL draft, I was actually drafting a decent amount of Tim Patrick at a more expensive cost than this. But that was when the possibility was that they were trading away either Courtland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy. Instead, Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are still on the roster, and they added Marvin Mims. So, I mean, I went from being slightly intrigued by Tim Patrick to now it's just kind of whatever. I'm fine avoiding him. Now, Eric Gray off the board here is a unique pick. They need to go ahead. They need to grab another tight end. They only have Dallas Goedert. So we're going to get Cedric Tillman at 206. I mean, with Cedric Tillman, not the best wide receiver prospect in the world, but he's going to a very good offense. He does get a decent amount of draft capital. I mean, hell, he went round 3 of the NFL draft. So I'm going to be completely fine going through and taking him there. And I'm really excited about our team. Let me go through and show this off. So at tight end, we have Mark Andrews, Darren Waller. So we're elite at tight end. We're elite at quarterback with Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott. Wide receiver, we have Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Jahan Dotson, Sky Moore, Adam Thielen, Tyquan Thornton, Paris Campbell, Cedric Tillman. So obviously depth is questionable, but hell, we did get 8 wide receivers to cycle through, and we had the 2 anchors at the very top with Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb. Running back, we get Travis Etienne, Miles Sanders, A.J. Dillon, Tyler Algier, Jalen Warren, and Jeff Wilson. I really like it. I mean, if we're looking at the fact that we get the quality at quarterback, tight end, the quantity at running back, wide receiver, I think it was a fine roster construction. I think it was really unique as well. But thank you so much for everybody hanging out with us. Looks like we are not going to get another draft going, but I will be live on the Dynasty channel in 15 minutes talking some Dynasty fantasy football if you want to go hang out with me there. Thank you for everything. Really do appreciate you. Make sure you're going over to Underdog. getting in some of these drafts, especially with us in the live stream. We're going to do over 700 of these this offseason. And also, if you are on Underdog Fantasy now, or if you're going to sign up today with promo code FLOCK, regardless of the case, make sure you're taking advantage of the free LeBron James bet that they have going on there for Monday night. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really do appreciate you, and really do hope that you